We're a little over a week from Mother's Day. Did you know that tomorrow is also a special day? International Bereaved Mother's Day. We'll talk a little bit about that and about disappointment destroyers. Hi, my name is Mike Dyes. Welcome to Weekend Connection. Now, let's get connected. We live in a broken, fallen world, and we all experience loss and pain. For some, that pain takes the form of not being able to give birth to a child, or the loss of a precious child through miscarriage or early infant death. But today's guest says there's hope for families dealing with heartache. Sandy Day has experienced great loss herself, but shares words of comfort and healing for families through Caleb Ministries. Let's welcome Sandy Day, president of Caleb Ministries, which she founded with her husband Craig over 30 years ago. Sandy, welcome to Weekend Connection.
Thank you so much. It's just a joy to be here and to share with the people that are listening the hope that we can have through Christ.
And as you talk with folks about your own experiences and theirs, do you find that people are willing to talk about these painful times they've gone through?
Yes, I would say when we meet with individuals or couples, we want to know about what happened. And I think a lot of times that's missing a lot, even in a church setting or even in a family setting. A lot of times family, friends, or church members hesitate to even ask about the baby, and that is just a crucial part of, even calling the baby by name, if they know the baby's name, calling the baby by name, and even asking questions. We sense at times others would be, didn't want to talk about it, but it's really the opposite. They do want to talk about it with others, and they do express a lot of joy that they can talk about their loss with someone else. So we have a little handout called Helpful Hints. So if anyone would like that, they can email us. But it's called Helpful Hints to help others who are hurting, and it gives all these little tidbits of help. Call the baby by name, and, don't hesitate in hugging the person or even sending a note or a meal. Because usually about 3 months later, Mike, about 3 months later, people are like, well, they just need to get on with their life. And then they just quit even talking about it. And that's really when they start hurting the most.
Well, we're talking with Sandy Day, president of Caleb Ministries. Now, Caleb, maybe that would be a good place to start or to continue here at this early part in the interview, is to talk about the name Caleb. How is that significant for you and for your ministry?
Well, our son, our stillborn son, we named him, actually James Caleb Day. We were going to call him Caleb. And so I was 8 months pregnant, and I really had a very picture-perfect pregnancy. I walked, I exercised, I ate well, and woke up one morning, just kind of noticed that something wasn't quite right, and called the doctor, and they just said, if it happens again, you probably need to come in, and I did. And they referred me to have an ultrasound, and Craig and I were in the room with the technician, and the doctor came in, and he put the wand on all the parts of the baby and said, everything looks really great, except the heart is not beating, and without the heart beating, the baby cannot live. And we definitely were devastated. We just couldn't even believe it. At this point in my life, I had an abortion at 19, and my first husband had killed himself when I was 23 years old. So all the losses were devastating, but I was really surprised because not that I shouldn't go through a loss, but I had been through a lot already, and I was not even 30 years old yet. and it was a lot. And but I remember just Craig praying over my tummy and just saying that, God, we trust you that if it's your will for our baby to live, that you can start his heart back beating, and if it's not, then we will fulfill your purposes for this life I'm carrying. And of course, we have never had any idea about Caleb Ministries. In fact, it was 2.5 years later after we lost Caleb that Caleb Ministries started. And I'm very, very grateful for that, because we had time to grieve and to heal. And that year, actually, at our church, there were 9 stillbirths in 1 year. So there were lots of hurting young families that year.
Well, Sandy, is Mother's Day a hard time for mothers who have gone through a time of infertility, stillbirth, they've lost a child?
Mother's Day, generally for the woman who has lost her baby, it can be a very difficult day, just because of remembering her own baby. But if you're infertile and really desire a baby or having trouble to conceive, that can be really, really difficult, because you're wanting so badly to have a baby. You're remembering the baby that you don't have, and then you're asked to stand, and sometimes that can be awkward, where you don't know whether to stand, not stand, if you don't have any children. But most churches nowadays don't have women to stand. I think that most pastors have become really, really sensitive to this, this type of loss in women's lives, whether it's the loss of a baby, infertility, or even the post-abortive woman. I think most churches, say something to moms and, congratulate them. But I think I wouldn't say it's downplayed in churches, because it's not, but I think that churches have become more sensitive. You asked me about Bereaved Mom's Day, and
Sure.
I do want to share that. And it's generally the Sunday before Mother's Day. It's now Bereaved Mom's Day, and last year we provided a little blanket along with another organization called Out of the Ashes, and we pretty much, along with them, provided a baby blanket, and we sent it to them in a little sweet little bag, just to let them know that their baby is being thought about and recognized as a life. But it is a time in the year that is being recognized now, so I do think that's really, really good.
I did, in looking at your website, come across 10 things. I thought maybe we would at least talk a little bit about these. They are under the listing of 10 disappointment destroyers, and there are probably a lot of folks listening who are disappointed, maybe in themselves and in a family member or whatever it is. And I think these might be appropriate for the folks we've been talking about. Well, number one, it says, write down 5 things you have to be thankful for. Do you encourage folks who come to you for help to consciously think about what they have to be thankful for, not just their disappointment that they've been dealing with?
Yeah, in fact, even to this day, I encourage people to do that. I mean, even if you haven't had a loss, like I do it every day. I write down and I think about something that that I have to be thankful for, and that's and even in a loss, there's always something that we can be thankful for, and I think that is a really, really good one.
All right, number 2 was praise the Lord, and the reference was Psalm 139, and I think that's the same psalm where it talks about how the Lord knit us in a mother's womb, and is a very strong pro-life passage, reminding ourselves the Lord made us special and that He has a plan for us.
Oh, yes. And, I love that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And, I look back and, people ask me, Mike, a lot, would you want Caleb back? And, I say yes and no. I mean, selfishly, yes, I would love to see what a life would have been like, but no, because what God has done, not just in our life, but the thousands of people that God has helped, through Caleb Ministry. So I'm forever grateful.
And for those dealing with the shame that has come through actions, I think the thought life, which was one of the things on the list here, the thought life is important, that you remind yourself of God's promises, and that can make a big difference as you deal with these issues.
Yeah, and I think I love this. And, Mike, I'm just going to take some time right now because I think about these verses. So if somebody can just get a pen real quick, I'm going to just give them the verses that I think about. Like I think about Isaiah 26:3, that God keeps him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee because I trust in thee. And I'm just going to list them from here. But Philippians 4:6-7, about not being anxious and taking our thoughts captive. And 2 Corinthians 10:5, taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Romans 12:1-2, be not conformed to the world, transformed by the renewing of our mind. 1 Corinthians 2:16, that we have the mind of Christ. Lamentations 3:21, this I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. And then the last one I love, Colossians 3:2, it says, set your mind on things above and not on things that are on earth. So, God commands us to take our thoughts captive, to think on things above, not on things that are on the earth.
And another item on your list of 10 things is to memorize verses, and so that fits in well. And quite a few of on the list are physical, taking a walk daily, eating healthy, even going on a mini vacation. Do you find that people in a time of loss and grief sometimes neglect themselves physically?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think that a lot of times people will just not go out. On our website, of course, the Morning Will Come book we have, and the Memories I Cherish that I wrote. And then we have a Bible study called Learning Through Loss that really deals with every issue that a woman would face in her pregnancy. So definitely would take advantage of some of those as well, to be able to, instead of saying, why me, God, what are you teaching me? And then ultimately, how can I use it to help someone else?
We've been talking with Sandy Day, president of Caleb Ministries, offering help and hope to families going through infertility, the loss of a child, helping women through post-abortive issues. And as we've mentioned, there are resources there available. It's calebministries.org. Is that right?
That's it, yeah. And if someone wants to email us, it's Sandy, Sandy, or if it's a husband or a man that is post-abortive and they want to contact Craig, you can either contact myself, Sandy, or Craig, Craig, at calebministries.org, and we will respond right back to you.
I think that sometimes what we're missing in the church is supporting the men who are going through these times of loss, too.
Mm-hmm. I do, too. I think a lot, especially even, the man that has paid for his girlfriend or sometimes even wife to have an abortion. And I think there's definitely a lot of guilt and shame there. But Christ became our shame so that we do not have to live there.
Well, thank you, Sandy Day, president of Caleb Ministries. You can find out more at calebministries.org, C-A-L-E-B, calebministries.org. Sandy, thank you for coming and sharing with us today.
Absolutely. It was such a joy. Bless you all.
Thank you for listening to this feature, a production of BBN, the Bible Broadcasting Network. BBN provides 24-hour Christian programming, great Christian music, and Bible teaching. Listen to BBN by clicking the link in the description.